And I was stunned when I saw the news this morning that this was the driver in the 21 car, as Harrison Burton will move up to the Cup Series to drive the iconic 21 for Wood Brothers. Matt DiBenedetto is out of another entry for what seems like the fifth, sixth time in his Cup Series career. The guy cannot catch a break. But Harrison Burton moving up from the JGR stable, the Toyota prospect line, another TRD prospect, switching manufacturers, switching organizations, a big situation there that I think is being a little bit understated in this whole thing. Quick Lane and Motocraft, their usual sponsors for Wood Brothers, will continue to sponsor that 21 car, and you would expect some Dex imaging stuff as well, as they have progressed with Burton throughout the ranks as his career has unfolded. DiBenedetto once again will be on the move, trying to find something else, and he was told just yesterday when we were recording this, it was the day prior, about the news, and he was very honest, very blatant in his kind of speech to the public on the video that he posted, that it sucks. He was pissed by it, and I think he has every right to be upset by the situation. But saying that, he still quite hasn't delivered to the expectations, maybe what we expected Matt DiBenedetto to do in that 21 car when he was first handed to it after these two seasons. But we can get into that a little bit. But the big news, Harrison Burton moving up to the Cup Series after 2 years in Xfinity. The 2 years prior to that, we had him in the Truck Series for Kyle Busch Motorsports. So a very quick progression for Harrison Burton up to the Cup Series. In my opinion, a bit too quick for what he's shown so far. Through the ranks, didn't win anything in the Truck Series, was very good in his rookie season for JGR, of course, got knocked out in the first round, but then had that really excellent round of 8 there, winning 2 consecutive races with Texas and Martinsville. Showed a bit, he was definitely competitive this season. Not quite what we expected maybe from the 20 car, given it's the second season down there, but does have a new crew chief this time around this season rather than the departed Ben Bayshore. So maybe that has had a little bit to do with it, trying to figure that communication out. But to the Cup Series side of things, Kyle, big news. Harrison Burton coming up to the Cup Series to replace the departing Matt DiBenedetto.
Yes, and this is a bombshell that we kind of had like a slight inkling towards this week, with Door Bumper Clear kind of at the very, very end. And by end, I mean literally the last 2 minutes of their episode this week, kind of hinting at one of their past guests getting the 21 seat. And that was like Harrison Burton, Jeb Burton, and Ty Gibbs, and you can rule out one of those. And so it was like, is really Jeb going to get that seat, or is Harrison going to jump ship? And sure enough, Harrison Burton jumping ship from the Toyota pipeline to go to Ford. And I don't think he would have made that jump away from Toyota if it wasn't to go to a Penske affiliate, be in that Penske stable. So I'll start on that front. I think this is a very, very strong get for the Ford camp, for Team Penske themselves as well. Sets them up very nicely into the future, because with the 21 car, you can either go to Team Penske, you can go elsewhere kind of once you kind of graduate from that kind of mid-level seat, because it kind of is one of those mid-level seats from what we've seen the past handful of seasons. But with Harrison Burton here, for Ford, I'll say, past Austin Cindric, they didn't really have anybody in the pipeline immediately. You look to the Truck Series, they've got like one team currently, and nobody is looking to graduate from that team right now. They've got Taylor Gray coming in the future. That's probably going to be pretty good, but he's still 15 and mainly racing ARCA and whatnot. Like, he hasn't even made his Truck Series debut. So there was a big gap in terms of Ford prospects, and to get somebody who has been developed by Toyota for these last handful of years and kind of pluck him right at that perfect time when he's kind of looking to start to go to potentially the Cup Series is a great get for Ford. So I'll start with that, and for Team Penske as well, if they do keep him in the fold, because that's another great young driver to get in the fold. He's 20 years old. He will almost certainly be the youngest full-time driver next year, all this kind of stuff. For Harrison Burton himself, I do agree this feels kind of rushed. When you look at his career to this point, Truck Series had some struggles with KBM, but a lot of young drivers have to that point. Surprisingly got the bump up to the Joe Gibbs team at the Xfinity level for 2020 and blew people out of the water. He had an unbelievably good rookie season based off of expectations, but also just in general, based off of the peer statistic, production and equivalent equipment rating. He had a better rookie season in the Xfinity Series than Chase Elliott did last year. Winning 4 races, being very consistent for Joe Gibbs Racing, had the early exit in the playoffs with some bad luck, but redeemed himself later on, winning 2 of the final 3 races of the season or something like that. Yeah, 2 of the last 3. Yes. This season, it's been a step back. He hasn't been as consistent. He hasn't been running up at the front as much. And so some of it is probably just some of the changes with crew chief. Last year worked very well with Ben Bayshore. This year hasn't worked as well. But at the same time, you look at who the new crew chief is and how much success he's had in Jason Ratcliffe at the Xfinity level with Christopher Bell in recent history. Yep. You go wonder what's happening there potentially. So Harrison Burton, what I'll say is he's still a top level prospect. If you look at prospects in NASCAR, he's top 10, probably close to, if not inside the top 5, depending on how you want to rank things out, whether you value star potential versus readiness for the Cup Series, depending on what you want to do. He's closer to being top 5 in terms of readiness for the Cup Series, probably lower down in the top 10 in terms of potential star power in the future. That being said, going into next year, he's not like this elite level road course racer. He's good, but he's not like this road course racer where he's kind of like a specialist where you step in and you know you're going to work some things out on like ovals and stuff, but you're a legit shot inside the top 5, top 10 week in, week out on road courses like maybe we see from a Chase Briscoe or previously from an Austin Cindric, that kind of thing. So he's not that kind of specialist prospect. He's had a down season, so he's not like the prospect that's blowing you away this year either. So from both of those perspectives, I get it from the Ford Penske perspective. I'm not sure if I agree with the decision from Harrison Burton's perspective in terms of what's best for his development. I think another year with Joe Gibbs Racing would have been best for him, at least one more year, if not more, because he still is 20 years old. I understand maybe having that itchy trigger finger, having that great rookie season and thinking, okay, one more year and then I'm ready, stuff like that. But I just think it's a little bit too soon. And I know looking ahead to Toyota and everything like that at the Cup Series, all those seats are filled. 2311 is looking to add prospects right now. They're looking to get that team stabilized, veteran drivers, all this kind of stuff. Joe Gibbs doesn't have any opening availabilities. I get trying to find somewhere to go while you can, while you're still a hot ticket, but just feels like it's too soon. And I'm a little bit worried what things will be like going into next year for Harrison Burton, because he's a good driver. He's got the potential to be a very good driver. I just don't think he's at that point yet now in his career where it makes sense to go Cup racing. Could be proven wrong next year. He was great as a rookie in Xfinity when everyone kind of wrote him off after that season at KBM. Could prove us wrong again, but I just feel like it's too soon for him right here.
I thought in our preseason stuff, I thought he was coming up the Cup. I thought he was going to take that 11 car from Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, I think
a lot of people would have, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, the little bit of struggles with the consistency that we've seen so far this season, not that race winning ability, what we've seen from, namely the 54 car, who's ever gone in, it has basically been in that top 3 the entire time that whether that's Ty Gibbs or Kyle Busch, whenever they've done their starts. Ty Dillon, we can exclude him. He had some bad luck, of course. But for Harrison Burton, I think he's a good driver. I think he's a solid driver. I don't think he's ready for Cup. I think 20 years of age. I thought he was rushed up. I was shocked when he got the Xfinity Series right after just 1 year in KBM stuff where he struggled mightily. I don't even think he made the playoffs for the Truck Series when he was with KBM, right? So that's a big step up. Understandably, the trucks is a totally different beast than the stock cars that he did with ARCA and stuff like that growing up. So maybe there's just a bit too much time for adjustment there, but I think you're taking a bit of a risk here if you're Wood Brothers. They never really have done something like this with taking a stab at a rookie. I guess you can look back to Ryan Blaney, but
even with Ryan Blaney, that was when they were still like a part-time team to begin with and was beginning that Penske relationship. So even then, I think it's a bit of a different situation. I
agree with that. So I don't look at Harrison Burton and think he's Ryan Blaney. I think Ryan Blaney is definitely one of the best up and coming talents that just hasn't quite honed in on something yet. I don't know if there's really an overall strength to Harrison Burton. I think he's pretty even across the board.
Yeah, he's good across the board, but he doesn't have that specialized skill. Even even within like oval racing, like he doesn't rank out as like a top restarter. Like he's an average restarter at the Xfinity Series level. Like he's not like specific to like short tracks or whatever. Or
if
like
I were to lean somewhere, I'd say
like
short
anything
tracks,
like that. So
right, like
that's probably
that's
where
about it.
His strengths lie. But even like I'm saying, like he doesn't have like that specialized skill where you can look at and go, okay, this will translate to Cup, and let's see how he does there. Kind of like Austin Cindric with road course racing.
You're going to look at those
like
races
that.
for him to be the performer in that race, right? Like you can look at almost any race and you're like, I don't know what to expect from Harrison Burton next season because we don't really know what he's got because he didn't really prove anything on one specific layout or track or whatever in Xfinity trucks or Xfinity.
And what I'll say is it's not like he's been bad across the board this season. He's still been pretty solid. The average finish has dropped from 10th place exactly on the nose last year to 14th place exactly on the nose. So a 4-place drop this season. Xfinity Series has gotten more competitive. So I will give him that kind of caveat there. But
not that competitive where you think it'd be that big of a step back. You'd want to see him stay around where he was, maybe even push for like an average place of 9th, right? Like that's kind of what you expect from a second year guy.
And it's not even like he's had like extraordinarily bad luck. Like he's had a couple of races that have been screwed because of bad luck and whatnot, but he's got 5 top 5s this year. In those, the highest finish has been 3rd 4 times actually this year. So he's got up there a couple of times so far this year, but need to see a very, very strong second half or past the second half already of the season into the playoffs to kind of really justify the move from Harrison Burton's perspective, because again, it makes sense from Ford. It makes sense from Penske. Wood Brothers doesn't really have much of a say in it. They kind of get told by Penske what's happening in that circumstance. I get it from all their perspectives. Just feel like it's a little bit too soon for Harrison, and he's improved his passing so far in Xfinity this year. He's improved his restarting, but the production has slipped a little bit, and need to see that rebound before I can really justify the move to Cup just yet. But hey, he can have a great second half of the season, prove everybody wrong. He can have a great rookie season, prove everybody wrong, but just feels at 20 years old, we've seen it in the past with numerous drivers just making the step up the system too quickly. And it feels like Harrison might be one of those, at least right now.
I agree with that. And apparently Jeff Burton is the one that kind of got him this deal because he is his manager as well. So just those ties in the garage area that Burton had, or Jeff Burton being that in his driving days, of course, now being very much in the sport in the broadcast booth and has a lot of ties to different areas throughout the sport, I think has done wonders for Harrison Burton to get to this level so quickly. So even though Jeff Burton can't really talk in the booth, he must be a really great negotiator. So
that's a low blow.
I'm sorry. I'm not a fan, but I think Harrison Burton, he's got a bit to prove. I think that's a fair statement. And I think that's always a thing when you're a young driver and you're trying to make it to the next level. And there's going to be some expectation on him. It's good that he's not in like a premier organization right off the bat. Wood Brothers is a team that's very fringe playoff worthy right now. And I would expect him not to make the playoffs next season as a rookie. That's basically my expectation right now. But there's a lot of room for improvement. And like Kyle said as well, there was no real growth once again here for Toyota because of the lack of avenues that they have with a Toyota manufacturer in the Cup Series 2311. Like Kyle said as well, they don't have an
equivalent of Wood Brothers to put a driver like Harrison Burton.
No, there's no filler, no Levine family anymore, right? Like 2311 and Joe Gibbs Racing or bust, basically.
Like you mentioned a perfect one there. Levine Family Racing looked like they were going to be that Wood Brothers equivalent for Toyota prospects when Christopher Bell went there. And sure enough,
or even Fred Giroux and Eric Jones did the second car, right? Like both of them.
Even just quickly here, Matt DiBenedetto loses out on the Levine Family Racing seat because Christopher Bell steps in. He goes over to 21 and somehow still loses out to a JGR prospect. So that's just his luck. But
a former Joe Gibbs Racing driver as well, which is hilarious. But lots of different avenues here that that Harrison Burton could have really gone down if he really wanted to, but he wanted to make that next step to the Cup Series, and wish him all the best.